Okay, singers, what songs do you know? Today we're going to be talking about practicing lyrics and memorizing songs easily and effectively. Welcome back to my channel. If you don't know me yet, my name is Alyssa Harris. I'm a vocalist, a vocal coach, educator, and I love to just come on here and talk about all things singing, especially if you're an aspiring performer or if you just find this stuff interesting. Hopefully it's something that can help you out on your journey. Today we're going to be talking about the methods that I use to learn songs. And if you're a professional singer or a performer, you know how important it is to not only know a lot of songs, but to be comfortable with a lot of songs and also to be able to memorize them. Because once a song is memorized and it's in your head, it's in your body, it's in your imagination, you're able to really perform it with your whole self and your whole being, and it really enhances your stage presence. So I just did an audit or an update of my song list, or as some people might like to call it, my repertoire. And it even surprised me. I didn't realize it after continuously adding so many tunes over the years, over 10 or 11 years of being a professional singer and performer. I've added a lot of songs throughout those years, and I didn't realize how many there were. Learning lyrics has always kind of come easily to me. I have a really good memory when it comes to things like that. So whenever I actually take a step back and when I actually look at how many songs that I do know that I have memorized, it's crazy. It even blows my mind sometimes. But I often get the question from singers and from non-singers, mostly from non-singers, right? But they always want to know, how do you remember all those lyrics? How do you go to a gig and you have 25 songs on the list that you're going to have to sing tonight, and you don't have an iPad, or you don't have lyrics, you don't have your phone set up to read from the words? How do you memorize all those words? And again, sometimes it comes naturally, but sometimes, and of course, just repetition of just having it stuck in your mind over all of these decades and years. Songs that we grew up with, songs that you heard your parents singing when you were growing up, or you heard on the radio your whole life. They're familiar. They're things that you already know. But of course, when it comes to new songs, new material, having to learn it and having to have it stick in your mind, that's a whole other thing. Having to learn a new song or multiple new songs for an upcoming performance, it can be kind of daunting. But I will say that over the years, for me, it's definitely gotten a lot easier, and I've come up with some tips and tricks of how I make that process a lot easier for me, and I wanted to share a little bit about that with you guys today. You kind of can strengthen that muscle when you work on it that much. Things just start naturally coming quicker to you. I compare it to dancers when you get into a dance class or an audition and you see these dancers that can pick up this choreography, this really complex combination that the teacher just taught them 30 seconds ago, and they can do it so fast. I'm like, how do they do that? But that's the same thing, where over time you strengthen that muscle to be able to remember things super, super fast. You can train your brain. That's the good news. You don't have to naturally have a good memory to be able to be a good performer and to memorize lyrics. You just have to come up with some methods and some shortcuts that work for you. And I go into a lot more detail in my courses and in my one-on-one coaching. So if that's something that you want specific help with, just reach out to me and we can go over that. One of my favorite methods is to visualize the words and identify any imagery that stands out for me in the song. So it's very easy to picture the lyrics in some songs. Obviously, not all. Of course, when it gets a little bit more metaphorical or a little more abstract, it can be a little bit more difficult to visualize a picture of that in your head. But if you do have a song that has something like objects or well-described places or people or features, try to picture that. And then when that next phrase comes up, try painting a picture in your head. So for example, in the song, it starts in my toes, makes me crinkle my nose. You can picture a nose, you can picture toes, right? And if you can kind of think that way in all of the songs, that's a really good shortcut to use. And of course, if the song rhymes, that's another plus, because all you have to do is play the guessing game. You hear the first word and what rhymes with that word, it's definitely going to be the next word. So easy enough. Another thing I love to do is write out lyrics. And I love to lock it in my brain that way. I don't know why this works, but it does, and it's always my go-to. Whenever I'm feeling a little bit shaky about the words to something, it always helps to just get a piece of paper and physically write down the lyrics, because not only picturing imagery, but picturing the words themselves, that helps to stick lyrics into my brain. So I know a lot of people that do this. This is probably one of the more popular methods of making making memorizing songs a little bit more simple. So if you're trying to learn a song and like for whatever reason you're just not retaining the words, the lyrics are just not sticking in your brain, try writing it down. Another great thing to do, and this works especially with pop music, is to picture the format of the song. A lot of songs are going to have a verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, out, or the song is going to be formatted like in sections. So if you think about it that way and you think, okay, I only have 2 verses to learn, that the choruses are going to be the same, they basically just repeat, you can kind of make a checklist of what to learn and you kind of make a mental roadmap of where you're going in the song. So for example, a lot of pop songs, the first verse melodically, musically is going to mirror the second verse pretty much exactly. So once you have that down and you just think about filling the words in, it kind of makes it a little bit easier. The last thing I like to do is to make sure that I get the song into my body. And what I mean by that is to actually practice performing the song. So whenever I'm at home practicing music or listening to songs, trying to learn material on my own, of course it helps to sit there with my headphones and listen to the song. But what really sends it over the edge, what makes my practice that much more quality, that much more valuable, is when I stand up and I mimic how I would be performing the song on stage. So I stand there, I'll have my mic in my hand, and I'll make sure I have space as though I'm on stage, and I will practice how I'm going to perform the song. And that helps me remember lyrics a lot easier as well, because I'm thinking, okay, when I do that with my hand, I say that word, right? I relate this hand gesture to that part of the song. And when I'm at the chorus, I do this with the audience. So try to think of what you do in your actual performance, and that can help you remember the lyrics as well. The good news is that you really don't have to have this amazing memory, like I said, to be a great performer. However, getting off the page and getting off the book and not using lyrics as a crutch. I know in some situations when you're performing, you can't use lyrics, right? When I'm in my, cruise ship shows or theater shows, I don't have the capacity on stage to have lyrics or an iPad or anything like that. But in particular, when I perform like at weddings or lounge band sets, I could have access to my iPad or my lyrics of some sort next to me. But a lot of times I find it so much more freeing to not be dependent on the lyrics on the iPad, because it makes you feel a lot more free. And a lot of times you don't realize that you really do know a lot more than you think you know. I think we psych ourselves out and think, oh my gosh, I have to learn all these lyrics. But really, once you're performing it, and you're in it and you're physically like in there performing it, things just sort of start flowing and you remember it. You have that muscle memory and it kind of just comes through naturally. It definitely enhances your performance. And so I always recommend that people memorize lyrics, because it helps you overall become a better performer. And you can really focus on what you're doing on stage. You can really focus on your vocal technique. You can focus on the audience when you know that those lyrics are locked. Those lyrics are just signed, sealed, delivered in your mind, and you don't have to actually think about them. You can think about what's more important, which is your stage presence. Because, I mean, let's be honest, lyrics are very important, but if you mess up 1 or 2 lyrics, it's not the end of the world, especially if you still say something that rhymes, then it's not the biggest deal. But if you're standing on stage staring at an iPad and, you look nervous and you look occupied when you really should be giving that energy to the audience, and we found love in a hopeless place. See how I'm cutting off the attention from where it should be, which is all the people that have their eyes on me. I really just encourage you to memorize everything that you possibly can. Plus, it's always a plus saying that you know hundreds of songs, because then you'll just be ready for any gig. You can do absolutely anything when you know everything. So thank you guys so much for joining me for this video. I hope it was helpful to you. I hope you were able to savor some of these little nuggets of information that hopefully can be helpful to you in your singing journey. Now, if you're just getting started as a singer, or if you're already an experienced singer, my channel has a lot of information, a lot of good resources that should be useful to everybody. If you have any questions, make sure that you comment below. Also, follow me on Instagram and head to my website if you want a little bit more information about me. If you want to book a call, a coaching session, or if you just want to chat and say hello, make sure you reach out. Guys, thank you so much for watching again, and I will see you in the next one.